I'm not dreaming of California. Um, Although I like California, but I don't know, it's just stuck in my head today. Hello and welcome to Let's Write Together. My name's Tom Levine, and I'm an award-winning novelist with 9 novels out currently with imprints of Random House, Simon & Schuster, and whatever they're going to be called as soon as they finalize their paperwork, among some others. And today we're talking about pantsing versus plotting. If you are a writer of any kind, if you've been at this for any length of time, you should be aware of the term pantsing or plotting. If for some reason you're not, it goes a little something like this. Plotting means that you outline your story in some way, shape, or form. Now, that could be the snowflake method, that could be hero's journey, that could be any number of different outline formats that are in there. Story engines is one that I like to use. So plotting just means you have some idea of what's going on and you're going to outline it in some way, shape, or form. Pantsing means you're flying by the seat of your pants. That's where the term comes from. Saying pantsing and plotting together in one sentence is always a little squishy for me. Get it? It's just, I don't know, it just sounds gross to me. But anyway, that's what that means. You're just jumping in, you're like, oh, I've got an idea, and you just jump in and you start writing. Now, the debates about which one of these is better are both endless and fruitless because they really don't matter. The question is, did you finish the story? And did you give it to people to read? Did you make it available for people, whether that was through an agent and an editor and a New York publisher, or whether that was through something like Wattpad, or whether that was through something like Amazon or iBooks, whatever, doing draft to digital? In any way, shape, or form, did you finish the story and share it with people? That is the main question. How the hell you get there, I don't care, neither do your readers. This is just about you and what is going to make your story easiest. What's going to be the best solution for you to get that thing finished. Now, bit of background, I used to be a pantser. I would get an idea and I would jump in and I would start writing. And that was fun. And I discovered a lot of cool things doing it that way. Pardon me. The problem was they didn't make for the best stories. They were great characters. You know, this is where my novel Zero came from. That was just jumping in and writing kind of just a collection of scenes that went from one place to another and then finished. And it was good. I mean, it was all right, but it wasn't really a well thought out, well plotted story at that point. It was just fun. And eventually, over the years, I started coming to the realization, like, I need to do an outline. So I went to Hero's Journey. If you're not familiar for some reason with Hero's Journey, you should become familiar with it. Right here, right now, I am not going to go out on a limb or plant my flag in the ground or whatever you want to say about Hero's Journey. Hero's Journey is something you need to be aware of. Hero's Journey is something you ought to study. It is not necessarily something I would recommend for outlining your book. If that's what you do currently and it works for you, great, ignore me. Totally fine. But there are some flaws in the system that we'll talk about on another episode. For the moment, just know that that was something that I did. I tried it, and then I was finishing my books, and I was following all the right steps, and I was so proud of myself for using an outline, and now I'm a real writer, right? Problem is, the books and the stories sucked. They were so lifeless, and they were so just absent of any animation that you would normally have found in something like Zero that is nothing but animation and character study and things like that. So eventually what has happened is I have come into sort of a hybrid of pantsing and plotting, and that's essentially what I'm going to recommend to you. What I do is I get an idea and I just start writing stuff down. It could be the beginning, middle, or end of a story. It doesn't matter. It's just some little scene, usually between 2 characters, some bit of dialogue that I find interesting or intriguing, and I'll write it down in my notes and then kind of let it sit off to the side and see if I ever come back to it. Some of them I come back to, some of them I don't. Some of them I haven't, but probably will in the future. That's how my novel Party got written. It was just a bunch of scattershot little scenes that I ended up pulling together and tying into a single cohesive story. So that's what I'll do now. I get an idea, I write it down, and then it sits there, and maybe it just sort of, marinates for maybe a day, or maybe a week, or a year, or 10 years. I don't know, but at least I've got it, just to emphasize the importance of writing stuff down. You've got to write this stuff down. Once I start writing some more on it, I'll write maybe, let's say 10 pages, 20 pages, maybe even 50 pages before I can sit back and say, okay, this has legs, this has bones, this has a skeleton, whatever phrase you want to use. There's something here. Let's go in and see if we can shape it. So once I've got, several pages of stuff already done, then I will apply an outline to it. Okay, so you've got this character. You really like writing this character. Great. What's going to go wrong? What is the thing that she wants? What is in his way? Who are the bad guys? Doing all of that sort of outlining type work. and then laying it over what I already have and seeing if it's going to work for me, if it's still interesting or intriguing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I've got a thriller that I've been working on. I shouldn't say that. I have a thriller I was working on several months ago. It is now languishing in purgatory, just kind of sitting there, because while I have an outline, and I actually brought in professional author help to help me get this outline done, I've got an outline, I got characters, I know everything that happens, and I'm like, I don't know, like it's just not, again, animating is the word that comes to mind. It's not getting me excited to write the story for some reason. So maybe what I'll do is I'll say, to hell with the outline, I'm going to go in and just start working on it and see what happens. Anyway, so my current thing is, and then see what happens. One of the things I really wanted to discuss today, though, is if you are an outliner, if you are a plotter, cool, totally fine. Again, I don't care what you do as long as you finish the story and give it to people. But I'm working on this story. It started probably 3 to 4 years ago as an idea. Had an image in my head and a little bit of dialogue. I wrote it down, and there it sat for a year or two before I finally started writing some scenes. Like, oh, I'll do this, we'll do that. Cool. And then eventually getting to the point where, okay, I need an outline now. I need to see if this is going to work. And then I started going into it. This is a science fiction novel. And so I've been working on it pretty hard for the last several months, getting up early and jamming out, 1,000 or 2,000 words a day when I can. It doesn't always happen, but keep trying. And I'm almost done. I'm almost done. We're in the last couple of chapters. And I know it's the last couple of chapters because I have an outline. I've known for many months now where the story starts and where the story is going to go. Now, I've had to rewrite the opening at least once, maybe twice now, after giving it to some author friends of mine who would read it and say, yeah, this is great. And then I realized, wait, no, it's not. It's not accomplishing what I need it to accomplish. So I need to rewrite some stuff. But I had the outline. The same basic outline was intact. What happened today was I'm following my outline, I'm writing my next scene, I'm doing all my work, and then kind of out of nowhere, my main character, this is a first-person novel, starts talking about something else, kind of like that I didn't see coming, that's not in the outline. And I was like, oh, I'm sitting with my keyboard like, okay, where are we going? If you're a writer, you know that feeling, right? When the character sort of takes over and starts taking you along on a journey without whether you want to or not. That's the point I want to make today, despite all of my talking. Is when your characters do that, even if you are an outliner, even if you are a plotter, follow those characters. If they start, tugging at the leash a little bit to go off here, go off, man. Follow them. You don't know what you might discover. So I followed my character, and it ended up being maybe a page of kind of a diversion or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's really good. Now, I won't know until I finish the whole book and then go back and do my revision process. But right now, it's kind of cool. It's this cool little quiet moment that we needed in the middle of some really big action set pieces. And it's stuff that I didn't realize she was feeling. It's stuff that I didn't know she was going to share with me, if you want to look at it that way. But there it is. And now it's out, and I really like it. Even if for some reason I end up cutting it, whether I cut it or an agent cuts it or an editor cuts it or whatever, that's fine. I'll still have it. It will still have happened. It kind of still sits in there, and it's something that I will always know took place. And again, the point is, even if you are a dyed-in-the-wool outliner, plotter, great. At those moments, I think it's important as writers, as storytellers, to give ourselves the space and the time and the permission to go off on these little fancies and see where they lead. Because you know what? If I had done that today and it ended up completely changing the direction of the book, I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I'm not chiseling a statue of David here. Okay, this is still a first draft. It's okay if it goes that way, and I go back and I look at it and say, oh, you know what? That whole outline thing I had, right there it goes. We're done. We're not using that anymore. This is better. This is the better choice to make. I'm going to follow this now. Doesn't happen a lot when you're working with an outline, but it could. And if it does, so be it, man. I say ride that pony. I say ride it as far as you can, because you just don't know what kind of cool things are going to happen. And then I believe the reader can tell. They don't know the details. They don't know how you got here, but the excitement that we feel, I mean, have you ever read a book where, particularly like in a series where you get to like maybe the last book and you're like, is the author even trying anymore? Like, are they even, are they excited about this anymore? Because it seems like sometimes they're not, you know what I mean? If there's something that's going to give you that excitement, like you do for the first draft, then do it, right? Go, tear it up. The trick then still comes in revision. The trick is still after it's all done and you've gone off on your on your side quest or whatever you want to call it, and you've changed the entire ending of the book. Cool. Does it still work? Just because you are excited about writing it doesn't mean you get to keep it. You have to work in service of the story. And that's one of the things I talk about a lot with particularly in my dialogue classes, is the characters, the protagonist doesn't cash the royalty checks. You know what I'm saying? You are still creator god of this universe, and you still have to do what is best for the story. The characters don't get to tell you. The characters don't get to dictate to you where the story is going to go. If they want to show you something, go with them, 100%, and maybe make a great discovery. Cool. But ultimately, before you send off to an agent, before you send off to your editor, before you even send it off to Kindle or whatever, man, you have to make sure that it fits the story. This little bit, this one page thing that I did today, I think it fits the story. I think I will likely end up keeping it, but I can't be married to it. It's that kill your darlings thing, right? We're just gonna have to see. Right now, it feels good. Right now, it works. Tomorrow, it may not. A year from now, right before we go to press, maybe it won't feel good again. I don't know. But regardless, shut up. I've talked way too long. If you are a plotter, give yourself time and room to let your characters go off and do their own thing. Follow them, see where it leads, but be ready to rein them back in, because your job is to tell and control the story to give your reader the best possible experience. This is not self-indulgent. That's one of the things I think we all struggle with, is we're excited about our world and we're excited about all the cool things and we're excited about the characters. Great. That's important. Ultimately, though, you are, again, creating a product for an end user. Don't forget that part. Don't worry about it now, but don't forget it. You still have to present a great product, and that great product is a great, tightly written story. That's my opinion. Not everybody agrees with me. Cool, whatever. That's where I come down on it. So let them go, follow them, see what happens, but be ready to tug the leash back on them, on those characters. So anyway, I think that's basically all I wanted to say today. That was a long, long diatribe to say something that could have been said in about 2 minutes. I apologize. I think that's it. By the way, before I go, I've got, it's coming up next week. I've got a class for 13 to 18-year-old students who are looking to either start a book, or they're working on a book or a story, short story, any kind of fiction. It could be screenplay, comic book script, whatever. That's happening at outschool.com right now. I will drop a link up here to the side somewhere. You will find a link for that. It's coming up on the 21st, I think. No, 29th. December 29th at 9 a.m. Arizona time. I'll be teaching that class. It's a limited capacity. I think we're limited to either 6 or 9 students. So yeah, so if you have a student-aged person in your life who's working on something and would like some additional guidance, sign up for that. It's going to be really cool, I think. That'll be my first class ever at Outschool, but I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So check that out. In the meantime, if you are not 13 to 18, or if you are and you want to do this also, please don't forget I've got classes over at Udemy on dialogue, writing YA, and description. And if for some reason you are not on my mailing list, what is the matter with you? Get on my email list, dude. You have to, because there's some really, really cool stuff happening in 2021. Video game stuff and science fiction stuff and giant spider stuff and all kinds of cool stuff. All right. Thank you for watching. Be sure to share this around with your writing friends, and I'll see you next time. All right. Take care. Keep writing no matter what you do. Keep writing. Yum.